CEO and founder of Disabled in Action Atlanta. He is a spiritual leader and social activist for the disability rights and a key figure in the independent living movement. He is author of Nothing is Impossible, which was performed in a play in 2018. This man has tirelessly served the disabled as an advocate and activist since 1986. Here is just a glimpse of the works of Reverend Calvin E. Peterson.
It's interesting how society can just outright ex- exclude an entire population of people, especially those individuals that that Christ looks at as being the least of these. And in my talk this morning, I would like to point out the devastating impact of this of this exclusion. And in doing so, I have to go back to my childhood days because I don't think that I don't think that my life is an isolated incident. I grew up in a poverty-stricken situation. My 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 grandparents, they were very helpful in taking care of me. My 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 mom, she had a very short life because she had to deal deal with the fact that society had placed her in a category of being of being of being of being responsible for a disabled child being born. Now, let me try to speak on that even further. Our society has a tendency to look upon parents as the guilty party that is that is responsible for the birth defect of a child. And I saw my mom struggling every day, trying to deal with that stigma that society had placed upon her. To the extent that it had a very detrimental impact on her, to the extent that she tried to commit suicide in my presence. And I was only 5 or 6 years old. Basically because there weren't any services out here for a child that was born disabled. And keep in mind that this was back in 1950, 51, 52, 53. Society did not open the doors to a public education to disabled children, especially if they were African American, until 1954. And even then, there was a dehumanizing stigma attached to the criteria to even get into school. And the stigma was the child had to go through some psychological evaluation and they had to be declared as mentally disturbed or mentally ill. Now, keep in mind that this stigma in this criteria was attached to the introduction of even being enrolled into public school. Now, also keep in mind that don't want any public transportation that was totally accessible. There were no accessible buildings. There were no accessible streets. None of that existed. So all of this took a toll on my mom mental and spiritual health. Until it became totally unbearable for her. So she tried to end my life until my grandmother stopped her. She actually tried to drown me in the bathtub. So all of these actions and all of these notions stem from an exclusionary society. And for the last past 60 years, I am 72 now, but for the last past 60 years I have been trying to, so to speak, open the doors of the church, trying to sensitize the church, trying to steer the church in the direction of an inclusive Christ. But that has been an extremely difficult task. On our website, we have outlined a proposal to the church of how to become more sensitized to this population of people. It's actually on our impact page, down at the very bottom of our impact page. It is an appeal to the church. I encourage everyone to go to our site www.disabledinactionatlanta.org. This is a very historical site that was created by African Americans that are disabled. It gives the events of the past, present, and future activities of the disabled of a community. I urge people to think and act inclusively in everything that you do. Because if not, you are causing havoc to individuals' lives and individual future. It is imperative that people thought processes has to change toward people that are poor and disabled. I have been fortunate enough to interact with people from all aspects of society. Governmental officials on a state, federal, and local level. Trying to attempted to push the issue of inclusion for poverty-stricken, disabled people and their parents and caregivers. In 1988, I was able to change a traditional historical structure in government for over 100 years. Public housing had not been accessible for the disabled children. I was able to testify at the disagree housing hearing in 1988. From that testimony, I was able to get Congress to pass a mandate stating that all public housing had to be at least 5% handicap accessible. But now, before 1988, just think of all of the suffering and all of the discomfort that a person that was disabled in public housing had to go through. And in somewhere in the 88 or in the book BRA, there's a statute there that says states or local government could not impose a undue hardship on a person that was disabled. In 1968, there was an architectural barrier act passed by the United States Congress, but even though the statute was passed in every low-income area in this country, there were no curb cuts on sidewalks. If there were curb cuts, there were a curb cut on one end of the street, but not on the other. So I truly believe that there is a there's something spiritual going on in the heart and minds of our society in terms of opening the door to the concept of inclusion. But at the age of 72, I am hopeful. I am inspired. I am study and related to have lived this long and to have lived a productive and active life. I am inspired and hopeful that before I die, I will see and experience an inclusive environment for all people that's disabled, especially the generation after me.